Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Hour. I'm your host, Miguel Sanchez, and in my ever growing quest for financial freedom, I create content on creating multiple revenue streams for your business and for yourself. So, today I'm going to be talking about subscription models and figuring out how I can and you can create membership websites or membership um, products for your clients and your potential business partners maybe. So again, I always look at things from a monetization and innovation standpoint. So I've been, of course, I'm studying like a madman right now all the different revenue streams to make sure when this pandemic is over, I come out, my business come out, my business partners and different businesses all come out in the best way possible. So I read this book called Subscribed. It's in the description on my on the YouTube, and it'll be in the description of Instagram after. I just can't do that before, but it's called Subscribed, and it's based on the idea of business models changing, and you start to see now even the biggest companies in the world have gone into some form of subscription model, right? So if you think about Amazon.com. Amazon.com was an online store, right? But they wanted a subscription model. So what did that become? Amazon Prime. So they said, look, you give me $100 a year, I will do unlimited free shipping. Because they know they've done the math where having that $100 a month from I think I heard the last time I heard they had 30 million subscribers to Amazon Prime. Think about that, right? Every month or every year, you are guaranteed a certain amount of money to play with. Another big one that did this early on is Netflix, right? If you think about the Netflix model versus the Blockbuster model, Blockbuster was hoping you walked into their store and you took a cassette, I'm pretty old, I know, or a DVD, and then you brought it back and you paid every time. And then Netflix came up with this idea of, why don't we get people to pay a monthly set price and they can order as much as they want. They offered it to Blockbuster. Blockbuster said no. Within a few years, Blockbuster was out of business and Netflix was out of here. And of course, these models didn't start out with technology. They started out in things like gyms, right? A gym membership is basically a subscription, right? It's basically saying, look, I'm going to pay this much a month to know I can go to your gym. Of course, the gyms know you're not going to go every day. So enough people subscribe to their gym, they make enough money to cover the overhead plus make some profit, right? So how could that work for businesses like yours and mine, right? So I've been thinking about this for a while. I read this book a while ago, but I've been looking at, okay, with any business, any startup, any endeavor I get involved in, I'm thinking, okay, I don't want it to be the one-off. How can we create some type of subscription? So this is where, from yesterday's, if you didn't see yesterday's video, what I was talking about yesterday is about coaching courses. Another big part of that is membership community. So again, from yesterday's, I was talking about this guy I saw who was speaking, of course, on YouTube, and he was talking about how he makes $10 million a year on courses and coaching. But he also has a membership community. So what he said in that video was, he said if he had to start right now, and this is the part I keep watching this over and over again, he said if he had to start over, he didn't have anything, he was starting over, he would start with the membership site first. He said he would create something where he charges $29 a month, where people come in and they get new content every month based on whatever it is they need or they want to know. So I've been thinking about that, and that's been sitting in my head for 2 days, and I'm like, all right, how could I do that? What could I do? So the way to think about this for yourself is what is it that you do or can teach others, but not just teach, handhold in a way, like not one-on-one, because a membership of $29 a month, it's the same thing. I'll bring it back to the gym. You pay that 29, let's say your gym membership is $30 a month. That doesn't mean you get a trainer right? If you want a trainer, you have to pay whatever that trainer costs per hour, right? So it's the same thing. It could be the same thing within your business, right? So for me, I'm looking at mass ideation was built to help as many ideas become reality. I can't work on everybody's idea. My company can't work on everybody's idea because they can't afford to hire 5 trainers. Sometimes to build what you want, you need 5 different people, and then I have to manage them. So it could cost a lot of money, a lot more than maybe you have. Certain clients can afford it, certain can't. But what if I had a community, a mass ideation academy where people can go and I'll show you how to get your own project done. If you can't afford to hire a team that I would manage, I'll show you the steps I take to create projects like that. But of course, you're going to have to pay to have access to it. And that way I still make something and your project gets done. It's a win-win, right? You get my knowledge, your project gets done, I make something, right? So to me, that's how I've been looking at it on the Mass Ideation Academy side. And then on my personal side, I've been looking at myself as like, I'm going through this multiple revenue stream thing. I'm going to figure out how to have more than one revenue stream. Of course, I've been working on it for years, so it's not like it's new to me. But at the same time, I do believe everybody needs to think this way. And the only thing that I'm thinking about should I separate them into 2 separate memberships, or should I put them into the same membership? And then the other thing I'm thinking about is, what is the first course I create in my membership community? So right now, the idea I'm going with is content creation, right? So what I'm doing right now, and I do it every Monday through Friday at 3:00 right now. And then I put it on, it goes live on Facebook, my personal Facebook, my Facebook fan page, my YouTube channel, my Twitter channel, my Twitch channel, and Instagram. So it goes live on 6 places at the same time every day at 3:00. So if you think about, I'm creating 30 pieces of content a week by going live 1 hour. Then if I want to, I can take those and make pieces. I can chop them up into 4 and put them all in those same places. And that could be another 400 pieces of content a day, right? So part of what I want to do is I want to show people how I do that. I'm going to give you the step-by-step. So that's my first course idea. Of course, anybody watching, if you think that's a good idea, please let me know. If you think of another thing you would like to have me explain, please let me know. Because like I said, I first started out thinking people wanted me to explain how to make podcasts. And then as I keep going and I see people are not just making audio, they're making video too. So I want to show them how to make video and put it in the most places possible and use it the most ways possible to draw in traffic, right? But what I'm also understanding, because I'm doing it, is the video is going to take you a long time before you make money from just creating videos, meaning advertising, sponsors, affiliate links. And I've made videos about all those things too. But you need to have some type of product that makes you more money, that everybody's kind of being drawn to. So when I see it, because I'm watching all these people that create create content, and they always have something that it goes back to where they make their actual money. With people like Gary Vaynerchuk, he doesn't have courses, but he has a big business that brands and people that are really, have money can hire his agency, and his agency makes him the real money. And his sales department, instead of hiring salespeople, he hires a team to do this for him, create videos and put them everywhere. So his company is everywhere. His company it's not like it says VaynerMedia everywhere. It says Gary Vaynerchuk, but everybody knows Gary Vaynerchuk is VaynerMedia. With me, Mass Ideation and Miguel Sanchez, I don't have my last name or my first name in Mass Ideation, but I started Mass Ideation before I thought about being a personal brand. Maybe if I did it differently, I would. If I did it at a different time and started over, maybe I would think differently, but I don't think I would. I think I would keep my name, and my business. So if I'm thinking about this for you, and of course, if anybody has questions anywhere you are, please ask them. I will answer. If you're watching this now or in 10 years, ask it in the comments. I will try to answer. But if you join my future membership community, you will get your answers much faster and a little bit more one-on-one. So that's the basic future plan, right? So with me, I'm looking at, and I've been studying it for days and months. The way I see to start this is, and I've been doing it, is you got to put yourself out there and see what people want from you, right? So from me, I just been getting on every day and saying, okay, I'm going to talk about the things I wish I would have known when I was starting anything, when I was starting to make websites, when I was starting to make apps, when I was starting to do augmented reality, when I was starting to make my business, when I was starting to work with startups, when I was starting to help startups raise money. All these things I wish I would have known or somebody would have explained to me, because it would have made my journey much faster. So that's the content I started to create. I said, you know what? I'm just going to make a library of content that people, if you wanted to watch all my content, you would learn a lot of different things. What makes that different from a membership site, though, is I'm still going to put a lot of the information, if not all of it, out this same way for free. The difference between a membership site and that is it's more consolidated and a much easier to consume environment, right? So you can go to Mass Ideation Academy, which doesn't exist yet, but it will, and sign up. And maybe it's $29 a month. Maybe it's more by the time you sign up. But in the beginning, I think I'm going to do the $29 a month. I'm going to take advice from somebody that makes $10 million a year. And then you would come in and you would say, okay, I'm gonna make a website. But the difference of not only the understanding of, okay, instead of having to look for all the different videos on my YouTube, my Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are, you can just go into this place and see step by step how to do it. And then when you have questions right in there, you, and probably at that point, someone on my team, on my mass ideation team, will answer, right? So that's the benefit of being a part of a membership community. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is you can create, like I said yesterday, multiple times a month where you are available to your community, right? So if you think about it, imagine I told you I'm going to work for you 2 hours a month for $29 a month. You would be like, that's pretty value. Like that means I'm working for you $15 an hour. I haven't done that since like high school, right? So, well, that's a lie. A little bit after high school. So that would be valuable to you, right? So if I told you I can help you with your business idea or help you create content for $15 an hour, you would probably do that, right? So that's how I'm thinking about it. I'm saying, what is the value I can give to someone, and it's valuable to me, because there's a big saying that it sticks in my brain, and I don't know who said it, but it's called the 1,000 true fans rule. It says, if you are doing anything, all you need is 1,000 people to support you, and you can live your whole life off that. Think about what I just said. $29 a month, 1,000 people. That's $29,000 a month. I think I could live off that. I think you could live off that. So that is why I believe this whole membership site, membership community thing is part of this courses and online learning, right? Because I think people learn, but people like community, especially now, right? Right now, we're in a time where you don't see people, you don't interact with people. I just started like hanging out with my friends again through House Party, this app, for us to, be again like friends instead of just texting each other every now and then. We're in a community in a way, and now we're adding people who were out, who left our community for many years, and now we're all getting back in House Party and starting to talk again and having fun. So imagine that, but for making money. That's another thing I've been thinking about, right? If you think about your subscriptions, everybody has subscriptions. Everybody pays for something. Netflix, Hulu, cable, gym, whatever it is, right? But are you paying for a subscription that makes you money? If you're not paying for any subscription that helps you make money, that's pretty bad, right? For me, I definitely am. I tell you, I'm right now subscribed to a few different things that help me make money. One guy helps me with my YouTube channel. I told you, he's the top guy on YouTube. I pay him $100 a month. He helps me every day with my YouTube. Not him specifically, his team, right? Every day I have a question, they'll answer me. They put up videos. I'm going through all his courses. I watch one every day. It helps. He's helping me every day, $100 a month. Top guy in the world, right? That's not a bad deal, right? And of course, one day I hope to be the top guy in the world in something. I'm not there yet, but you start out somewhere. You start out putting this stuff out and seeing what happens, who asks what. So for me, I think my expertise is, I always say it, I can build anything. If you came to me with a project, and that's why mass ideation has been around for as long as it's been around. People come to me and they say, look, they told me to ask you if you could build it. And I'm like, yeah, we can build it. Even if when I don't really know if we can build it, I'm like, yeah, we can figure out how to build it. So that in itself is something I want to put on a course. And it might be multiple courses because I know different things require different mentality, but there's an overall methodology to my madness, right? I know how to build things because I have a process. The process doesn't change. The tools and the environments change a little bit based on what it is you ask me to build, right? But the overall, the core is the same strategy, the same creative, the same technology process. So I'm going to give that away. Not for free though, right? It's going to cost money. So the way it works is these membership communities, you have access to the content as it's being created, but then you can also outside of that create courses, right? So people can come in and just buy a course and not be a part of your community. But in a way, what you end up doing is you make it valuable enough where it makes sense for them to subscribe to your membership instead of only buying a course. And this way, they stay engaged with you longer. You make more money off of them. They learn more from you, right? So that is where the whole mentality starts to shift around one-off versus ongoing, this whole subscription model. So like if you haven't heard it, you just got here, in the description, there's a book that I highly recommend called Subscribed, where it talks about this new business model that is the subscription business model. And everybody knows it exists, but now it shows you in that book how that model is being shifted into every industry and how to think about it for your industry and for yourself, right? So if you are a freelancer, a consultant, coach, those are individual type businesses, freelancers, like I was for many years. You are constantly hunting for that next sale or that next client, and then you work that client, and then when that client is over, you're hunting for the next one. What if I told you you could be getting thousands of dollars a month and not having to hunt as much? That's very, very appealing, right, to anyone. So what I'm looking at here is, how do you do that for yourself? And then, of course, I'm going to figure out how I do it for myself. And I'm going to walk you through my thinking. So when I think about Mass Ideation Academy, like I said, the first step I've seen is a lot of people ask me about creating the content at the level I'm creating it, right? The amount, the volume, the quality, all of that, right? So there's all kind of stuff that can be a course. But the major difference is, what I'm truly getting though is people have all that information. Like I'll text them, and of course I can tell you what camera to buy. And of course, all of that is in my description too. You can literally buy everything I own from a link. There's a link in this description called bit.ly TEH gear, capital TEH. And you can see all the equipment I have. But after that, it's a lot of learning that I've been doing for like about a year, where if you came to my 2 times a month, our access to the community, and you said, hey, Miguel, you know what? I'm having a problem with this. How can I fix this? And I would tell you, oh, I went through that. This is what you got to do. Boom, boom, boom. That's valuable, right? And then if you could have another question like, you know what? But I'm really struggling with understanding why I should do this. Well, the reason I do it this way is this, but this is where you maybe want to do this, or that, right? And I could talk to you in a group setting, of course, but it's still everyone's learning from being in the community from your question, right? So, and I'm literally involved in multiple versions of this. And I see it. I see the value and the amount of time it's saving me to get to where I want to go. In this pandemic, what I said to myself was, I'm going to invest in myself this pandemic, right? Of course, people are talking about, yeah, buy stocks, buy this, buy that, real estate. And I'm involved in that too. But mostly I've invested in myself, mostly. Like I'm going in a few weeks to the Dominican Republic to work on a property, real estate thing. I have invested in that, but nowhere near as much as I invested in myself. Then also stocks. I've been putting money a little here and there in stocks. And something happened yesterday that just a little side note that based on my understanding of the best way to do stock for my likes, right? For my liking, which I spoke about in past episodes, past shows, is my stock investing is going to be buy and hold, right? To try to create as much value on those stocks for the time when I want them to give me money. But what I have been also doing is buying stocks that give dividends, right? And they say when you buy stocks that give dividends, you can either take it or you can reinvest it. So what I started to create as a strategy for myself is whenever a stock gives me dividends, I'm going to reinvest those dividends and put $20. And I'm right now I'll do it through Cash App, right? And M1 Finance, which those links are in my description too, right? So that gives me the idea of, okay, the ones that are giving me dividends, invest more in them. But right now I'm not the super stock guy where I'm on it every day. So when I see the alert that I got dividends, I'm like, all right, I'm going to invest more in that stock then, right? Because the more I invest in it, the more that dividends will become. And eventually, once I get the other revenue streams going, I'm going to really get more into the stock. But right now, if you know me, I can't be involved in only one thing, right? It's not, my brain does not work that way. So I am involved in many different revenue streams, but I have ones that I focus on the most, that spend the most of my time on. Like this one now has really dominated my time. This one is probably the one I spend the most time on now, not because of the time it takes me to make the videos, but because now it's consumed my brain to all the other opportunities around the content. So not only am I creating this an hour a day, but now I'm looking at, okay, how can I monetize these videos faster? How can I create a course, create a membership community? So that strategy and thought that will also create different revenue streams for my business and me, that is taking up a lot of my mental time. But why is it? Because I believe it's the best revenue stream to work on that will give me the most amount of money for the least amount of time, right? But for you, you may not like that. You may not like the membership community site thing. You may just rather have stocks and have a good job, right? But for me, this membership site thing, the subscription model in general, and if you talk to any investors, any entrepreneurs, it's the holy grail. The subscription model is the holy grail because every month money comes in beginning of the month. So imagine, and I've ran multiple businesses. Imagine every month having to say, all right, what clients do we have? When are they paying? You think they'll pay on time? This person owes from last month and is still not here. Versus every first of the month, everybody's credit cards, debit cards get the money gets pulled. It's in your bank account day one of the month. That is a huge difference. And that's why companies like a Netflix can do what they do. They can create all this cool new content because they have they probably have hundreds of millions of dollars come into their account every month. And then they say, okay, we know our subscriber base is not going to totally collapse in 1 month. So next month, we can also assume we're going to have at least 90 million come in. So let's buy this, that, create this show, create that show. And it's a much more sustainable model. Of course, there's gyms and things like that where the quality of service goes down, so people leave, right? So that's the thing about membership sites, that there's pros and cons to membership sites, right? So if you think about the pros, is everything I've just said. Money every month, consistent money, quality of people, because you're paying, they're paying up front, so they're going to spend time, right? And somewhat that may not always be true, because I've paid for gyms and not gone, right? But at the same time, if you join this membership community, it comes up on, there could be text messaging, there could be, Facebook groups, there could be all kind of things that remind you that you're a part of it. Instead of a gym, you got to get your butt into the gym, change, work out. It's a little different. It's easier to just check your phone and be motivated from an app or a social media platform you're in than traveling to a gym. So that's why I think the pros of the subscription website, membership website is so good. The cons, though, if you're on the side of me, is you got to create a lot, right? Because to keep a membership valuable, it kind of is the difference between Netflix and early Disney Plus, right? I remember my kids wanting Disney Plus, right? And then when we put it on, I was like, oh, all the movies that we already saw. But there was no new movies for a while. And I'm like, so why am I paying monthly if I saw all these already? Okay, you guys could watch them again, sure. And maybe there was some you didn't see. But where they were struggling early on was new stuff. Because Disney has amazing things, but to create like Netflix, you gotta always have stuff coming out. And I don't even know. I haven't even looked in a long time. I wonder how that's going. But like the Mandalorian, right? That was a new Disney Plus only thing they created. It took a lot of money. They did it, and it brought more eyes to and more attention to their platform, right? And then the show with Manuel Lin Miranda, they did too. But that's another thing Netflix does, and Disney is starting to do. But Disney does it at a ridiculous level. Disney doesn't just license your show. They buy entire Star Wars, entire Marvel universe, right? So what they have access to, if they wanted to, and they had the money, and by the subscriptions growing every month, they will have the money. They can literally make shows around every Marvel character, every Star Wars character, every Disney character. Then their product becomes much more valuable, and you're going to want to have Disney Plus over maybe a Hulu or a Netflix if you have to decide, right? So all these guys, this is where it's going down to too. Everybody's fighting for the subscription dollar right now. If you think about it, right? If you think about Hulu, Netflix, cable, think about the difference between the cable subscription. I was paying $220 a month for cable. I could have Hulu, Netflix, Sling TV, Disney Plus, Apple TV, and still be nowhere near that price, right? So what's going to happen, though, once people are like, you know what? I don't need cable. I'm going to go down to just a few of these. Me personally, I stuck to Netflix, Sling TV, and then my kids forced me into Disney, right? So that's way cheaper than $220. Of course, it includes cable, internet. So, I'm still paying that, but it's nowhere near $220. That's for sure. But what's happening now is you have to, as a person, especially in an economy, bad economy, you have to start looking at your subscriptions, right? So you want to make sure that your subscriptions are valuable to you. But again, it comes back to, are you subscribing to anything that helps you make money? I bet most people are not. You subscribe to something for your health, gym, whatever it is, other things for your health. You subscribe to other things for entertainment, which is the Netflixes, Disney Pluses, whatever you Hulu, whatever it is. But do you subscribe to anything that helps you make money? So of course I'm in a different position because I own a business that has clients. So I have had the subscriptions to many things that make money, because when you run a business, you have to. So things like Adobe Creative Cloud, that costs me about $100 a month, $90 a month, but I have access to every Adobe program every month. That used to be a very different business too. Even Adobe switched to the business of subscriptions, and it changed their entire business, right? Before, if you wanted to buy Adobe software, you had to pay thousands of dollars up front per person in your office. So I remember buying the Adobe Suite for, I believe it was $3,000. When I first started Mass Ideation, I bought the Adobe Suite for $3,000. And that was just for me, right? Because I was still doing the work. I expected whoever worked with me, because I was mostly freelancers at that point, to have their own Adobe Suite. Like I wasn't going to pay for everybody's Adobe Suite because in the beginning, it's a small business, you want to pay all that. But then Adobe switched to $90 a month. So this is the difference, right? When I bought that software for $3,000, I was thinking I'm not going to buy the next version of this software for 2-3 years. But what Adobe started to do then was they started to release a new version every year. So there would be situations where you're working with an agency or a brand and they need you to use a file that you don't have because you have the old version of Adobe. So it put businesses like mine in a position where it's like, damn, so this means now I got to buy this every year. I have to upgrade my Adobe software every year. So instead of thinking I could spend this $3,000, it's going to last me 2-3 years, it became you got to spend this $3,000 every year per person on your team. So of course it was kind of rough for a small business. So what happened was people started to look for alternatives because they didn't want to only work with Adobe stuff because of that fact. So Adobe started to lose value. And it talks about Adobe in the book, Subscribe. And what did they do? They tried the subscription model. And everybody was like, this is the death of Adobe. Stupidest thing ever. It literally transformed Adobe. Now, just like Netflix, just like other things I've been speaking about, Disney, they know every month how much money is coming in so they can innovate more. They can give you updates on every project more often. They can try new software, and Adobe's been doing a great job about that. Like now, they're coming up with all kind of cool stuff that you have access to out of the Creative Cloud. Whether you want to use it or not, it's there. But because it's free and I'm paying for it for the regular things I use anyway, I go in and I play it. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool software. That is going to start to become part of what I use now. But I wouldn't have paid for that on top of the whatever else I paid for before, right? So they have switched their model to subscription and it's benefited them. So now how can we do that as individuals and smaller businesses, right? So in the beginning, I was thinking I did kind of do this for a long time and it wasn't a big thing I thought about, but I was doing a subscription model of tech support for my websites, right? So I would tell companies, pay me this much to make it, and then pay me this much a month, and I will be your tech support. So if anything happens, we'll go in and fix it within reason. So I was kind of doing that, but to do that at a level of 1,000 people, that becomes tough, right? You get 1,000 clients that are asking you every month. Of course, they're paying $100 a month. It helps, but if it becomes tough, that means you need a serious staff for that, right? So it wasn't a scalable model, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. So I thought, okay, what are some other subscriptions I can try to create for Mass Ideation where we wouldn't be just one-off? And one thing I thought about was data, right? So right now, I know it. And this is the further down the line. And of course, as Mass Ideation starts to have subscriptions, I can take some of that money and build some of the stuff that I know people are going to need, but I can't afford to build it right now because I don't have enough clients and profit coming in every month to pay for things like that right now, just like Adobe didn't and Netflix didn't. I mean, Blockbuster didn't, Disney didn't. So I thought data. What's happening right now is most companies are not really collecting the data that they could be collecting. And most of all, they're not taking the action steps on that data that could really help their companies grow. And I've been studying AI. I've been studying data science for years now, knowing that that's the future of all business. But most companies can't even be in that game. So I started to think, okay, what if I created some type of subscription where people pay for us to gather, give them insights on their data, actionable steps they can take, right? So it's like a data science subscription. We collect it, we show it to you, and then we help you use it to make more money. So I thought about that. I asked a bunch of investors, a bunch of people. People were like, yes, genius, do it. I would do it. But again, I thought, okay, it's going to cost me a lot of money to do this. It's going to take some good amount of time. Right now, I don't got the time for it. I'm going to do more low-hanging fruit stuff. But it's in the back of my mind. It's something that I will build. So getting there through subscription model is more realistic than hoping I profit a certain amount on 25 clients in 1 year, and that'll give me that extra money. That's what I used to do in the past, actually. That's what I did when augmented reality first came out. I did that exact thing, and I told myself I would never do it again because it put me in a horrible position. So I'm going to give you that story. So when augmented reality first came out, I knew it was the future, but I didn't know the timeline of the future, right? Like, that's the funny thing about being in innovation. You a lot of times are way too early, right? So what happened in augmented reality was, as soon as I saw it, I said there will be a day where this is how the internet is. This is how we walk around every day. Everything will be done through this. So I said, I'm going to dive in on augmented reality right now because I want to be ahead when the innovation gets here. Again, I did not know how ahead I was. I was way ahead. So I got in. One of the first things I had to do, though, was because there were two ways to create augmented reality. It was either you build it from scratch, which you need like 25 PhDs, or you subscribe to an augmented reality software development kit. So what I did was I subscribed to that software development kit. That software development kit was, I want to say, $15,000 a year, right? Remember what I'm saying. It just started. There was literally no projects for anyone in augmented reality. And I said, if I'm going to be in this game, I need that software. So I, through profit, took $15,000 and bought the subscription for the year. And I started trying to sell it to different agencies, brands. Like, look, this is the future. I'm telling you. People were looking at me like I was an alien. They were looking at this stuff and being like, what am I even looking at? That's cool as hell, but I don't even understand what I just saw. And I remember thinking, oh, so I'm going to lose this 15,000. So, right. Luckily, the first year I didn't. I got a big project, one big project that kind of paid it back. But then I did it again. And that time I put it on a credit card because I said, all right, I'm not going to do the profit thing again. I got the client that paid it later on, so I'm going to put it on a credit card this time so I could, when that client comes, then I'll pay it. That client never came. That second client that covered the cost on that one, I think it might have been the third year. I forgot what year it was. That client never came. So I had a $15,000 credit card bill that I couldn't pay because I didn't have the client to pay it. And I was trying to pay it down through profit, but also not go out of business because that was kind of a slower time. So it put me in a bad spot pretty much. But that company ended up being bought by Apple. And now that company that I was paying that money to, they are part of what Apple uses for augmented reality. So that's how early I was. I was so early that I was using them way before Apple bought them. Apple bought them, took a few years to integrate them, and now everybody's seeing augmented reality everywhere. If I would have been in a different position and had some type of subscription model, and I built startups. I tried to build a few different things, knowing I had this. I tried to build a few different things, but it never worked out. Nothing made money. It actually was just digging me more and more into a hole, because sometimes when you do innovation, you have to understand that you're spending money to find something, a diamond in the rough, that you may not find for a while. But when you find it, it's super valuable. So companies like Apple do this all the time. Apple will spend 10 years working on something like the iPod, and they're just pouring money into this thing. And then they release it, and they hope it hits. But with them, they do a really good job. Most of the stuff they release hits big. And that's why they're the number one company in the world, because they innovate, they spend a lot of money on innovation, and then they go. When you're a small company, it's hard to innovate because you don't have a big profit amount in your margin to do stuff like I did. So that's what I was doing. To innovate, I was taking money out of my personal pocket and any profits mass ideation had to innovate. But when I missed hard, right? And it was tough. So now I'm like, all right, maybe the subscription model is the way I can get back to innovation in a much more safe environment, right? If I know every month there's a certain amount of money coming in and I know it's covering X, Y, and Z, I can take a gamble with that next month's money instead of taking a gamble on a credit card that I got to pay back. It's money like I did the first time where I paid it out of my pocket. Of course, it wasn't great use of the money, but it wasn't a debt that I had, right? So if you think about it in business sense, if anybody, again, I want to think of any business type that you think, I want to help figure out this business model thing with subscriptions for myself and you, because part of what I think people don't understand is when you get into a group and you are discussing ideas, everyone's helping each other figure them out. So that's another big thing. They call them mastermind groups, actually. And your membership community is sort of a mastermind group, right? You're going into a group where everybody's pretty serious, because if you're paying money to be in the group, you're not going to be playing around and just not trying to educate yourself or give back to the group. That's another reason why they say make the group pay. Don't make a free membership group, because what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of people who are not serious. So make it something that you think is valuable enough where they feel like it'll cover, and they'll feel like I'll make this back by being a part of your group, right? So like I told you about my YouTube one, pay this guy $100 a month. I haven't made no money on YouTube, but I've gotten so many different opportunities because I've been doing YouTube. So in my mind, that money's covered. It came back to me already through projects. So I don't mind it, right? So if you think about a membership site or a membership community, mastermind group, whatever you want to call it, you have to think like that. You have to think, okay, what am I giving people? And then how can they justify the value of it so they want to pay it every month? So if you go back to the gym, hey, how could I have all that equipment? There's no way I can have all that equipment in my house. So if I pay the monthly, I get access to that equipment. It's worth it. Netflix. Hey, whenever I'm bored and I want to watch something random and have unlimited options, I want to have Netflix. So I'm going to pay that. Kids, we love Disney. We want to watch Disney whenever we want. Force parents to buy it, right? And I love Disney too, I'm not going to lie. But I don't really watch it that much. I'll buy it strictly for them. So, right, when you think about and Adobe's a subscription. I literally use Adobe every single day. Every day of the year. Even on weekends, I'm in Adobe working on something for myself, for my business, for multiple other businesses. That is valuable. They're giving me 10, 15 different pieces of software that I can use and do use for $90 a month. There's no way I don't make that back, right? So that's how you got to look at it. It comes back to what I said. Do you subscribe to anything that helps you make money? Right? Do you subscribe to anything that helps you make money? Because if you don't, you may want to reevaluate what you're subscribing to. If you're only subscribing to things that take money from you for things like entertainment, health, that's not bad, but you should be looking for stuff that that can help you to grow your revenue streams, grow as a person, skill sets, whatever it is. I honestly believe that, because think about it, right? Like at the end of the day, your money is energy. So when you give money to something, you're giving energy to something. So if you're not giving any energy towards making more money other than your job, that's a tough place to be, because what happens in economies like right now, your job will go away like that. And we see it. We see it, and what people are saying is we're not even in the beginning of it. Like right now, I think they're saying in a few weeks they're gonna do that whole like if you haven't paid your rent, you're out, because they were like stalling that or whatever. That's when they say the carnage will begin. So that's why, again, memberships right now, You may be evaluating all your memberships, right? You may say, hey, can I really afford Netflix this month? Can I really afford Hulu? Can I really afford this gym? I can't even go to the gym right now because it's locked down again or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So part of why I'm making this right now is because, of course, maybe you can't take advantage of this right this second, but maybe in 6 months you say, okay, I want to start making this business idea that I've been having in my head for years, but I didn't know where to start. But now I know there's a Mass Ideation Academy and Miguel, they're going to help me for $29 a month. And by then it should exist. It doesn't exist right now. But these are the type of ideas I have in my head about how can I switch the business model of my current business. My main current business, which is Mass Ideation, has for 10 years been a one-off with a few smaller subscriptions of maintenance and tech support. I didn't do that much because it was more of a headache than anything, but I did have a few, right? To going into this, like, able to play offense environment. Because if I know, like I said, with the Netflix, think about Netflix versus Blockbuster. Blockbuster was playing defense by saying, hey, they'll come in, they'll buy, and then they'll have to come in again, and we'll be here to accept them. Netflix said, if we charge them up front, we're going to make enough money to keep making it more valuable, whether they use it or not, like gyms. And they made Netflix ridiculously valuable to the consumer. And now most Americans have Netflix, right? Unless you're stealing it from somebody else, right? Which is possible. So to me, I just see it as like a no-brainer where any business owner, any freelancer, any coach, any consultant should be trying to figure out how to do this for themselves, how to create some type of environment. It could be other things. So I'll take back to some of my previous world experience of when I was a freelancer. I was an animator, I was a coder. And when I was in the coding space, there were people that would make plugins for things, right? So for instance, if you were going to do something, a repetitive thing a lot, where let's say you're making websites and you always had to make the sign up form for email and you had to code that every time, there were people that would make a plugin, and that's what WordPress is based off, a plugin that you didn't have to do it every time. So now you just paid this person to make a plugin, and that gave them revenue again. And some of these people, to have support, you pay monthly, right? So there was stuff like that even back then. And then when in the animation field, there were plugins again that will help you do things faster. So like, let's say, like I used to do motion graphics personally. I did it with my own hands. And sometimes there were things where it's like, oh man, this client wants me to make the earth spin and lights animate. And sure, I could do it from scratch, but it's going to take me 3 weeks. Or I could buy this plugin where this guy already made the earth spin. Then I could buy this other plugin that made that I could control lights. So I'm going to buy those two things and finish my project faster. Those people were already thinking in the environment I'm thinking. They're creating products that you buy, and it creates different revenue streams. And then they also started to create little types of communities where you pay monthly and you get access to all this stuff. Everybody started going down this path. I just wish I would have understood how I could have done it sooner. And now, hey, it's never too late, right? They say it, and I say it, one of my sayings, the second best time to plant trees is today, right? So for me, the pandemic was me saying, all right, all the mess ups I made prior to this, we're going to start planting trees in all the revenue streams that I really wanted to be involved in. We're going to plant trees. I don't care what it takes. By the time this pandemic's over, I will have trees planted in every single revenue stream that I think I will enjoy. And I'm on my way. All of them have, every day I look at each one. I figure out what I need to do for each one, either during the day or during the week. And I put more towards every revenue stream. Over time, that work will benefit me. Of course,
that may not work for everyone. I know my brain definitely is ADD and I can think about many different things at the same time. And that's a gift and a curse, right? Because I can't just concentrate on basic things, but I'm thinking about like 1,000 at the same time. They do say that's the entrepreneur uh, sickness, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, ADD. But if you're not like that, you may just want to focus on one. And in a way, I am. I'm mostly focusing on mass ideation right now. I'll be honest. Mass ideation has many different revenue streams though already built into it though, right? We build stuff. I'm kind of coaching through it through a partnership you will hear about pretty soon already. Um, I I'm consulting with, you'll hear about that too, with a certain industry already too. And that's all housed in the mass ideation. And then there's this academy that I'm thinking about building, right? It'll all be under mass ideation. These are different. That's already 4 revenue streams right there for mass ideation that will help mass ideation help me as the business owner, right? And then the more it helps me, the more I can get into these different revenue streams, right? So that's my world, Miguel Sanchez world. That's it, right? For me, my world, I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to work when and where and for who I want to. So what's the way to do that? Is to make sure you understand how your cash flow is every month and it's steady and sustained. So for my world, I want to make sure mass ideation has as many revenue streams that keep it sustained within itself so I can hire more people so it can stay well and keep paying my bills. But then while it's paying my bills and beyond, I want to make sure future generations of Sanchez have money to do things they want to do, right? So that's kind of my whole plan. Of course, it's a lot, and I'm one person, so you got to start one place at a time. And I'm not going to say I don't have help. I have help in many different places. Every project, I have a partner in every project, whether they're part of mass ideation or external to mass ideation. Pretty much every single product except this course thing right now, but I am working with multiple people on it. Every project I have someone to at least bounce ideas off, if not 5 people, right? So that's how you got to think about it too. Again, it's the team, right? You could build a team where they don't necessarily have to own part of yours, but you guys can both be helping each other figure it out, right? So that's what I've been doing with the courses. I've been speaking to many people, and they're not going to own part of my course. I'm not going to own part of their course, but we're figuring out all the work we each have to do, and then we're each going to go and do it. But there is a new opportunity that has been coming to me where people are like, can you build it for me and we'll split profit? That's been interesting. And I have been looking at those based on me doing this work and realizing, man, this is a lot of work. I know most people are not going to want to do this. And to me, I will only do it for myself first before I do it for anybody else because it is a ton of work. But it's probably the best work you could be doing. It has the most longevity of paying you back for that effort. That $10 million guy, he said he started making his courses 10 years ago. He still has courses on his membership site from 10 years ago that are contributing to his $10 million a year salary. So what if I told you you could start today and in 10 years, you could be making $10 million? What other businesses are like that? It's very rare that you can create something that can do that. And of course, he's not like everybody's doing it. Of course, he is like one of the top guys, but he's one of the top guys early. It's kind of like being in the NFL, NBA, major leagues. The guys who were rich 30 years ago, they were rich, but they were nowhere near as rich as the ones that are making money now, right? When you get in early, you are making the most. But as the industry grows and that like sport or whatever it is you do grows, the value of what you do becomes more and the more money you make. We are in the infancy of this environment. I'm talking about less than 20 years. In less than 20 years, this is still baby steps. Most people don't know it exists. Most people do not subscribe to these things yet, but they will when they start thinking like I'm saying. You subscribe to a bunch of things that take your time, but don't help you financially. I'm thinking about to myself, if I take off mass ideation, I don't subscribe to anything that makes me money that doesn't come out of mass ideation. But again, if I didn't have mass ideation, all this stuff I would be subscribing through as myself. There is a benefit to doing this through businesses because tax-wise, you pay less taxes pretty much. So that's why I do it through mass ideation instead of through my personal, because that's why another big thing, you want to wrap all this around in a business, because the benefit is so many different ways you benefit. The one I just said is a huge one. Of course, you're going to need serious accountants if you want to pay $750 a year like Donald Trump, but you still pay less taxes, much less than a person that has a regular job. So here's the example of why. If you have a regular job, you get taxed probably 30-40% of your salary. So let's say, again, I'm gonna make the math easy. You make $100,000 a year and they tax you 30%. I'm just keeping it on the low end. That means you stay with $70,000. You got to pay all your bills. And then out of that $70,000, you subscribe to something that costs $100 a month. With a business, it works the opposite way, where you make $100,000, you subscribe to something that costs $100 a month, then you only pay taxes on what's left over versus buying things with what's left over of your tax, of what they took out of taxes. That's why business is such an important thing. I think every human being should own a business. There's other advantages you can do. And I know this is, maybe a little off topic, but not really. You can pay your kids as part of your business to do things for you. So like right now, I'm having my kids help me build this little gaming area of mass ideation, which I know is not going to make money right now, but if it does, it'll be what they want to do. It's what they want to do now. I can pay them to do it. I just bought my son a computer. We built a computer so he could be a gamer, and we're going to create content around him being a gamer. All that came out of mass ideation pre-tax. Instead of the opposite, right? If I would have had a regular job, got taxed, and then with what's left over, buy my son all that equipment. If you did the math all the way, I'm not doing it right now, but it's definitely a value where you end up paying a lot less taxes and doing what you want to be doing, because you're paying for things that will help you grow your business, but they come out as a tax deduction. Most of them. Actually, all of them, I think. The only thing is food, but I'll bring a tax guy on eventually too. Guy or girl. So, on that note, I'm bringing this topic up because it's Friday, and I want you guys to spend the weekend thinking about the membership opportunity. Also, if you watch this far, of course, like it wherever you see it, but give me any ideas of what you think specifically for me and mass ideation you will want to learn from me and mass ideation. Because to me, that's the first start. I want to poll the audience and say, everybody wants content creation. So far, that's what I think. Everybody wants content creation. I don't know that, but that's where I'm at. Right now, that's the first course I'm thinking through, planning it all out. Second thing is building your idea. Those are the two courses I'm looking at. I'm going to show you how to build any idea, and I'm going to show you how to create content, because I do believe they're not separate in a way. I do believe, especially in this environment, if you create an idea, you're going to have to create content to promote it, because how is anybody going to know it exists if you're not somehow bringing attention to it? So content is the easiest way of doing, not easy, best way of doing that. So on that note, again, I'm going to leave you with the saying that we always end with: innovate every day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Thank you. Bye.